I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. It's a celebration of Italian heritage and a big milestone for Italian Catholics in Brooklyn.
We have to show our Italian roots and the religious roots and perpetuate the religious traditions in the United States.
Plus, parents speak out against New York City's sex education mandate. I'll speak with two members of the Parents' Choice Coalition.
I think that the biggest problem with the mandate is that it's not giving parents a choice.
And the Catholic high school entrance exam is just around the corner. We'll show you one school your child could be attending, Bishop Ford High School in Brooklyn.
The Catholic education affords students a great deal of opportunity for them to grow in their faith, whether they're Catholic or not.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I got a question for you here. Is October the month for Italian celebrations? Well, if this past weekend is any indication, the answer is without a doubt, yes. There were, of course, the Columbus Day parades, both in Manhattan on Fifth Avenue and right here in Brooklyn as well in Bensonhurst. But St. Athanasius Parish in Bensonhurst also hosted another Italian feast as the Brooklyn Diocese Italian Apostolate celebrated the 30th annual Italian Apostolate Day. And although the celebration featured plenty of Italy's sights and sounds, at the heart of it all was faith.
Today, people are here for our annual Italian Apostolate procession and Mass. Today we honor Our Lady of Pompeii. The first Sunday of October is a time when the Italians traditionally celebrate the feast and say a special prayer called La Supplica. The Supplica is a long prayer, but a prayer that has many, many aspects, begging Our Lady for protection in our lives, for our families, and all aspects. So it's a wonderful day.
We have to show our Italian roots and the religious roots and perpetuate the religious traditions in the United States. In fact, we celebrate the Madonna of Pompeii, which is the Madonna that is like the immigrant Madonna, and she represents the Lady of the Rosary. The Italian people have a tendency to have the Rosary as a way of living, because through the Rosary they can reach heaven and earth at the same time.
It's good that we see everybody together. Representatives from most parishes come, and they show their unity in showing their force together. So it's a good thing. The Italians have a saying that l'unità fa forza, unity makes strength. So that's what they're doing today.
The fact that we celebrate the Mass in Italian is basically one of the reasons why we don't want to lose that kind of, traditions from Italy. So we hope to have this not only bilingual, trilingual. Let's have the Italian Mass for the Italian people.
Disse, molti non pensano più alla vita eterna. In un certo senso pensano che la vita eterna è un po' noioso.
No, you don't have to be Italian. You have to have a faith. You have to be, everybody can participate. The language is not it's not an impediment as long as you have your faith. Proud to be Catholic and proud to be Italian, both.
Because it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling, yes. If you love so much the Blessed Mother Rosary, always you feel good.
I'm very proud to be Italian, very proud to be Catholic, and very proud with this Blessed Mother because I know her for life. And as a matter of fact, in Italy, her feast day would have been October 8th, would have been yesterday. I was very upset when the churches did not celebrate her. And I went looking all over for a church that did celebrate her. And I came here today.
It's a matter of faith, but we are trying to pass on the torch of our faith to the younger generations of Italians. That's my aim, and I hope I can do that.
Great celebration of heritage and faith right here in Brooklyn. Well, there's more currents coming up. The Catholic Church in Egypt speaking out after the weekend church bombing. We'll have that story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, we'll get a closer look at a Catholic school that just happens to be one of our neighbors. Yeah, stay tuned for that. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. A spokesman for the Catholic Church in Egypt is speaking out following the burning of a Coptic church. The spokesman says the government has been complicit in that incident and others just like it, noting that it's the fourth time in recent months that a church in Egypt has been burned. Protesters took to the streets after the most recent burning. More than 24 demonstrators were killed. Close to 300 more were hurt in those protests. From Afghanistan, a much different problem for Christians there. According to the U.S. State Department, there are no Christian churches left for the Afghan people. According to a report on religious freedom, the last public Christian church was razed in March of 2010. Private churches remain on military bases and other locations for the international community. Now, according to that State Department report, religious freedom has declined in Afghanistan in recent times. Well, turning now to India, where the Catholic Church in one part of that country is encouraging its faithful to have more children. According to the Associated Press, parishes in southern India are even sweetening that deal, offering free schooling, medical care, and cash bonuses for larger families. The church is concerned about what forecasts say could be a sharp drop in the Christian population in southern India. Back in this country, the Department of Health and Human Services has decided to not renew a grant with the U.S. Bishops' Conference to aid victims of human trafficking. Speaking with Catholic News Service, Bishops' Conference spokesperson Sister Marianne Walsh said that she hoped the church's position on abortion did not enter into the Health and Human Service Department's decision. The Bishops' Conference had previously been given a 5-year contract to aid human trafficking victims. Well, the group that works closely with the Bishops' Conference is urging people to act on a pro-life amendment. The National Committee for a Human Life Amendment wants people to contact their congressman to encourage them to support the Pro-Life Act. Now, that measure would remove the possibility of abortion funding from health care legislation and uphold conscience protections for entities that oppose abortion. The act is set to be voted on tomorrow. From Texas, the Diocese of Austin and 3 pregnancy centers there have filed suit against the city of Austin over an ordinance that requires the centers to post signs stating that they do not provide abortions or birth control. According to Austin Bishop Jose Vasquez, the ordinance impedes the ability of the diocese to perform its ministry effectively, and it's unjust, he said. The measure is similar to one here in New York that has been put on hold while it is being challenged. Well, meanwhile, the Supreme Court is letting stand a lower court decision that allowed a Christian relief organization to fire non-Christian employees. The organization, called World Vision, fired 2 people after discovering the 2 did not agree with the group's doctrinal statement. The lower court ruled that World Vision qualified for an exemption from religious discrimination under the 1964 Civil Rights Act. From Nevada, the former Vicar General of the Diocese of Las Vegas has admitted to stealing $650,000 from his parish. Monsignor Kevin McAuliffe pled guilty to 3 counts of mail fraud in connection with those thefts. McAuliffe has agreed to pay back the money and faces a maximum of 20 years in jail. Well, some news now from Africa, where the head of the Anglican Church, Archbishop Rowan Williams, met with Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe. Williams expressed concern about violence against Anglican clergy and government support for a breakaway Anglican bishop. Mugabe told Williams that the Anglican Church was, in fact, a, quote, breakaway group from the Catholic Church. Williams said of the meeting that he and Mugabe disagreed, but they did so in a peaceable manner. Well, meanwhile, from Honduras, a bishop who is set to retire next month says he'd like to run for his country's presidency. Bishop Luis Santos Vieda told Catholic News Service he will ask Pope Benedict's permission to run for office. Santos says he was asked by his country's Liberal Party to run for office both in 1990 and in 2009, but he declined both times. And parishioners at one Massachusetts church don't know exactly what to make of this graffiti. Vandals spray-painted Jesus fishes with hearts inside in the middle of them on the outside of St. Mark's Church in Dorchester, Massachusetts. No word on who did it or why, but the church's secretary shared her thoughts.
Maybe it's someone's way of saying that it's a great place to be and there's a lot of love here to come.
There you go. Well, police so far have no suspects. Stay with us. There's more currents ahead. Coming up, should New York City's public school students be forced to take sex ed classes? These parents say no.
Parents are the most influential people in their children's lives on these issues, and children want to hear from their parents.
Welcome back. Well, it is something that not everyone is thrilled about. A new mandate in New York City's public schools requiring students to take sex education classes as early as the 6th grade. The new curriculum includes lessons on how to use a condom and the appropriate age to engage in sexual activity. Well, when school officials announced the mandate back in August, Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio called it, quote, one more example of political agendas being forced on children and their families. Well, another group that is speaking out, encouraging others to take action against the mandate is the New York City Parents' Choice Coalition. And joining me now in studio are two members of the coalition, Greg Funstein and Dr. Nancy Coppola. Thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you for having us.
Well, first of all, Dr. Coppola, I'll ask you, what is, I guess, the problem, I guess the bare bones, the bare essential issue that you guys have with this mandate? What's the problem with it?
I think that the biggest problem with the mandate is that it's not giving parents a choice. Parents do have the right to opt out of the curricula, but they do not have the right to have another program for their children that would address the issues in a manner that would meet what they see as the needs for their children. And I think that it's important for parents to be able to speak out and say, we would like one of the curricula to be an abstinence-centered or a risk avoidance curricula rather than simply a risk reduction program.
So it's like the all or nothing sort of nature of this. It's you have this curriculum or you have nothing.
Exactly.
And those are the only options. What does, I guess, state law say about this? I mean, you said that parents do have the option to opt out of this or any sex ed program that we know of, or any sort of program that might conflict with their religious beliefs?
That's right.
That's correct, yeah. The state law protects the rights of parents to opt their children out of any sex education curriculum for religious reasons. Sure. If it's not for religious reasons, it's apparently more complicated. But federal law also protects the rights of parents to take a look at the curriculum. So if any parents are concerned about this and want to get more information, they can go down to the school and they can take a look at the curriculum. And they can certainly opt their children out if they find the material offensive to their values.
Sure. Now, the basic argument, I guess, that the city and other entities have used in the past to bring forth sex education programs and to, I guess in this case, mandate a sex education program is to say that, well, kids are having sex earlier and earlier anyway, so we have to educate them in the schools because they're not getting this education anywhere else, really, because they're going out and they're taking part in risky behavior unless they have the knowledge of how to do things more safely. What is the problem with that argument, in your opinion? Whichever one of you wants to sort of take this on.
I think the biggest problem is that actually studies will show us that teens are engaging in sex at reduced rates now, not at higher rates. And if children are choosing to abstain from sex, then shouldn't we be providing programs that give them the skill set that they need to do that? And the other thing that studies will show is that 8 out of 10 children will tell us that if they could have open conversations with their parents and with other adults about avoiding the risks, that they would choose to abstain. And yet this program is trying to teach them the opposite.
That's right. And the city is saying that, that we need this program because kids are having sex, but the fact is not all kids are having sex. And the kids who aren't having sex deserve to have a program which will reinforce them in their commitment to remain abstinent.
Sure. And do you think, Greg, that I guess maybe, I don't know, this is just my own cynicism, I guess, peeping through here, but if parents had been doing an adequate job or more adequate job of telling their kids about these issues to begin with, that maybe city governments or other entities might not feel it necessary to come forward with these sort of proposals or mandates.
Yeah, I think that even if we're not successful in getting the city to change their rule here and allow an abstinence curriculum, I think that if we've reminded any parents that they have to talk to their kids about these issues, it's very important. Parents are the most influential people in their children's lives on these issues, and children want to hear from their parents. We would encourage all parents, whatever you think about this issue, whatever your values are, to talk to your kids about sex. It's extremely important. But that being said, as Dr. Coppola mentioned, the trend is moving in the right direction. More and more kids are abstaining from sex through high school. So the city is in a way jumping on a bandwagon and talking about a problem that is maybe not as vast as it seems. They're a little late to the game. Things are improving. And abstinence education curricula have been shown to be effective in helping kids delay the age of sexual initiation for quite some time.
Well, speaking of getting parents involved, Dr. Coppola, how can parents get involved in your group, the NYC Parents' Choice Coalition?
Well, they can go to our website and see the information there, New York City parentschoice.org. The more important thing that they should do is they should speak out. They should go to their schools, speak to their principals, speak to the mayor, let the mayor and the chancellor know that they want a choice and something more than just opting their child out, but having a program for their child that teaches the child the true method of avoiding these risks rather than just trying to reduce the risks.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you both for being here very much, and we'll put a link up to the website on our website, and so our viewers can go there and see it and have a link to all of your information and everything there. So we thank you both for being here, Dr. Nancy Coppola and also Greg Funstein, both with the NYC Parents' Choice Coalition. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, stay with us. There's much more currents ahead. When we return, we'll pay a visit to Bishop Ford High School in Brooklyn for a behind-the-scenes look at what makes a Catholic school tick.
My hopes for the students at Bishop Ford High School is that they become creative young men and women in our society with Catholic ideas and values.
Well, finally tonight, it is almost that time of year again, kids. Yes, on Saturday, November 5th, the Diocese of Brooklyn will administer the tax exam. No, that has nothing to do with taxes that you pay. That's like the whole April 15th thing, and that has already come and gone for this year. But the tax exam for the kids of the Brooklyn Diocese, that is the test for admission to Catholic high schools. 8th grade students hoping to get into the diocese high schools will be in the hot seat for their chance to get into the school of their choice. And among the choices is Bishop Ford High School in Windsor Terrace. As students gear up for the tax exam, we went to Bishop Ford to get a closer look at its inner workings and find out what makes a Catholic education unique.
What makes Bishop Ford a special place is that it's very diverse, but very communal.
We have kids from all over the world, every nationality, every religion, and I really think that that's what makes us so acceptable and critical to so many people, that their kids are meeting children from all over the place.
And everyone enjoys being here, and everyone gets along.
I always say that Bishop Ford is one big happy family. I love being here, I love working here, I get support from every direction.
More than 96% of our graduating class goes to college. That has kept the reputation very strong.
I'm a graduate of Bishop Ford High School, and that's why I came back here. I definitely feel that Bishop Ford has allowed me to get into the world and do what I'm supposed to do. I love the environment, and a lot of the same teachers are still here.
Ford opened up in 1962 at Bishop Loughlin. This building was not completed. 1963, this building opened up completely, and that was my first year at Bishop Ford High School. That began the Franciscan tradition because the Franciscan brothers were running Bishop Ford.
It's named after one of our patrons, who is a martyr. Grew up in Brooklyn, about a mile away from here. Became a priest, became a missionary to China, and was arrested and tortured to death. He died in 1952. The school, in the 10th anniversary of his martyrdom, was named for him.
I'm a math teacher, so students come into class already not liking the subject. So it's my job to try to get them on my side, so to speak, of liking math, wanting to learn, and wanting to do the work. So that's my biggest challenge. So I really enjoy working with students one-on-one. I'll walk around the room and I like to see what each child is doing individually so that I could help them.
Enrollment in private and Catholic schools has been down for a number of years running. We're always looking to recruit, but the pool of students is getting smaller and smaller, and the number of schools competing for the same students remains the same.
I'm hoping that we have turned the corner. Our freshman class is up 20 kids from last year, which is really inspiring in this time. But it's been incredibly challenging for many aspects. The financial aspect has just been overpowering, it really has. If I had known the job I was getting into 9 years ago as president, I may have wanted to stay in the gym and just coach. I think Catholic education is just so superior overall. All of our schools are incredibly well run.
The Catholic education affords students a great deal of opportunity for them to grow in their faith, whether they're Catholic or not.
I went to Catholic school my whole life, including a Catholic college. And I could teach in the public school system, but I chose to teach in a Catholic school.
My hopes for the students at Bishop Ford High School is that they become creative young men and women in our society with Catholic ideas and values and be able to influence the life of one person that they may meet.
I want them to be independent, and I want them to work hard and be proud of what they accomplished while being in Bishop Ford.
People ask me after so many years, when are you retiring? When are you retiring? I have no plans of retiring. And it's probably the most rewarding job in the world, being able to influence the life of one person every day or for the entire year. So that's what keeps me going at Bishop Ford, and I hope I'm doing the job that everybody wants me to do.
And of course, just one of the many examples of quality Catholic education here in the Brooklyn Diocese, Bishop Ford. We're going to try and take a look at many more of the schools here in the diocese as well over the next several weeks, so stay tuned for that. Well, that's it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, Catholic schools in Brooklyn and Queens rally with the Rosary. We'll have that and much more coming up tomorrow night. Until then, though, you can always find us online over at currentsny.net. We're on Facebook and we're on Twitter as well. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.